Hi everyone, Chris Natzke here with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching with your Mind of a Champion tip of the week. Today I want to talk about vision. You know, I have a real strong belief that each and every one of us has a vision inside of ourselves that's been planted there for us to really express what we want to create in this lifetime. And the thing about it I think is so important is that it's one of our greatest tools, but so many of us don't really go for it, because when you really gets down to it, those visions without actions are merely a dream. If they're just sitting in us, laying dormant, they never get expressed. And I want you to think back to when you were a kid and you would imagine what your future was going to be like and what you were going to do when you grew up. And I mean, for me personally, I was going to be an astronaut, then a doctor, then a cartoonist. You know, I had all these things that I wanted to do. Now, for me personally, one of the things that never left me, and was always there from the time I started, is I wanted to be a martial arts instructor. In fact, something I pull out every once and again is this autobiography I wrote when I was only 11 years old. Take a look at that cute little kid right there. This is my life, and when I look at this, I see that you know what it was like the day I was born. It was a snowy February. Found out that I had a big birthday party when I was 1. Went to Disneyland and the Grand Canyon when I was 5. But here's the one that always gets to me, and I'm going to read this to you now. It says, when I was 10 years old, I started Taekwondo, which is still my hobby now. I enjoy it very much and would like to make a career of it. At 11 years old, I knew I wanted to make a career of martial arts. Now, what's so interesting about that is it almost never happened, because all the fear and the anxiety that I had and thinking I needed to stay in my corporate job, which was a great job, by the way. I loved it in many ways and it was great. Had great people that I worked with, but it wasn't where my heart was. It wasn't where my heart was. It wasn't the vision that was planted inside of me. And so, you know, because I was able to move through that experience and really listen to my heart and go for it, that's what I want for everyone out there, because I know what it's like on the other side of that and the joy and the excitement that it brings to our lives. So what I have is I've created 5 questions and 5 steps that you can ask yourself, because that vision is inside of you. And if you haven't really realized it yet, it's never too late. And so what are these questions? Well, let me share them with you now. Number 1 is to get clear about what you really want. You know, many of us have a very general idea of what we'd like to do, be, have in our lives, but we never take the time to get really crystal clear about what that will look like, how it'll make you feel, the people that you'll impact, a real clear vision of what you want. Now, it might turn out to be somewhat different than what you first initiate in your mind, but the fact of the matter is what it does, it gets you moving toward something. And in my experience, it oftentimes becomes better than I even ever thought it was going to be. So get clear about what you really, really want. Number 2 is get clear about your big why. Your big why. What do I mean by that? One of my favorite authors is Simon Sinek, and he talks about something called the golden circle. And he says that most of us are really good at talking about what we do or how we do it, but we never really understand why we do it. And I want you to think back in your life, either your own personal experience or when you met someone that was really clear about why they were doing something. They started an organization or a charity because of an experience they had when they were a young boy, and they wanted to make sure they could serve others that didn't have to go through that experience in the future. You know, they wanted to do something to really make their kids proud of them and show them the way of how they could really be in their power. All these things, in my experience, when I meet someone that's super clear about their why, it excites me, it inspires me, and I want to help those people. And the other thing that's great about getting clear about your big why is on our way to realizing our visions, we're always going to have obstacles. But when we get clear on that why, that for me is the generating force behind getting me through the obstacles when I get really clear on that why. Number 3 is ask yourself the question, what's the impact if this doesn't happen in my life? You know, many times we're out there thinking in the future, I'll do it one day, but we never stop and go, man, what happens if I never even try? And what's the impact if it never comes to fruition? Now, I generally try to look at things in a positive note, but sometimes that little boost of, oh man, I don't have that much time left, I need to get to this, is really a great thing to get us moving toward the visions that we want to create. So again, what's the impact if this doesn't happen? Number 4 is probably one of the most important things, and I think one that we oftentimes overlook. Who can you ask for help? Who can you ask for help? I think that many of us hold back on our visions because it seems so daunting and we think we have to do it all by ourselves. But the fact of the matter is we've met people along our life's path that are there for us to go back as resources. And in my experience, when you are really clear about your why and your vision, and you go to people and you ask for help, they are more than willing to help because they love to see people have that experience as well. Particularly people, in my experience, who've been successful. They want nothing more than, first, probably to talk about themselves, but number 2 is to really help people get there as well. And then finally is ask yourself these simple questions, these 3 questions. Is in order to get what I want, in order to live into my vision, number 1, who do I need to be? What qualities, proactiveness, courtesy, courageousness, what types of qualities do you need to embody? Who do you need to be in order to make this happen? Then, what do you have to do? What's at least one small step you can take to get yourself moving toward your vision that leads to the next step, that then leads to the next step? And then finally, what would you have? What would you have when that vision comes, into fruition? What would you have? Not only physically, but what would you have inside yourself? How would you feel about yourself? And how could you impact others? I've often heard it said that people who are on their deathbed in hospice, and when they ask them about their life and they ask them to reflect on their lives, almost to a person, people do not regret the things that they did. What they regret are the things they didn't do. So with that being the case, my friend, what are you willing to take some steps on this week to make your vision come true? Whatever it is it career? Is it personal? Is it relational? Whatever it is, what are you willing to do to make that vision come to fruition? So I hope this helped you, got you moving a little bit so you can move into the direction of your vision and really realize the best you can be. And this has been Chris Natzke with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching, and I will see you next time on the Mind of a Champion Tip of the Week.